At the beginning of the year, I started investing $5 a day into the stock market. I did this as part of an investment challenge that I kicked off. And the main reason that I chose $5 a day was to show that you did not need a lot of money to get started with investing in the market. My initial plan was to invest $100 a month or $1,200 a year. But now that I've been doing it for the course of 2 months, I'm just going to continue to invest. And who knows how long it'll be? Maybe it'll be 2 years, maybe it'll be 3 years. We'll see. But what I'll do is I will make sure that I provide periodic updates to you on the progress that I've made just by investing $5 a day into the market. Now, if you're looking to jump into the challenge, it's not too late to get started. I'll add a link in the description for the video that I kicked off at the beginning of the year that gives you a baseline of how to get everything set up and get started with the challenge. So for this challenge, I decided to invest in Vanguard's VOO. This index fund tracks the S&P 500, which includes the 500 largest companies within the US. So when you think about big blue chip companies such as Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, and Tesla, they're all represented in this index fund. And as of today, it is trading at around $470 per share, which is an all-time high. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at my portfolio to see how it's been performing since the beginning of the year. And once we've had an opportunity to take a look at my portfolio, then I'll walk through a few things that I've learned since beginning this challenge. All right, so here's the home page for my brokerage account. And a couple of things that I wanted to point out before we head over and dive a little bit deeper into the P&L, I wanted to point out just a couple of things on this page. So the very first thing is I have a net account balance of right around $300, and I have about a $50 cash balance. When I started this challenge at the beginning of the year, I started a brand new account so I can accurately track the progress that I made over the course of the challenge. So there'll likely be no more than $100 in my cash balance in this account because this account was specifically created to invest $5 a day over the next 12, 18, or 24 months. So I routinely will put $50 or $100 in the account and I'll use that, and when it gets low, I just replenish it. And the second thing that I wanted to point out is that you'll see that I only have one position, which is VOO, and I did set up the DRIP campaign, which is the dividend reinvestment program. And what that essentially is whenever VOO pays out their quarterly dividend, I get a dividend based on the amount of shares that I own. Now, I don't own a full share yet, but I will get some type of dividend that's paid out. And when you sign up for that program, which is free and it's easy to do and you do it within the app, it will reinvest those funds back into the index. So every quarter, as of right now, I'm getting a little bit of money that's added back to my account. It's not much, but once you start to build a whole bunch of shares and you have a large position, then those dividends can become a little bit more substantial as you build your account. So let's take a look at the P&L. So the very first thing that I want to point out at the top of the page is that year to date, I'm up $10.14 in this account. Now, of course, that doesn't seem like a lot of money, and it isn't. But VOO is currently trading at or near all-time highs right now. And as part of this challenge, I'm going in every morning around 10 o'clock, depending on if I have any meetings going on or not, and I'm purchasing $5 worth of VOO. Sometimes I'm purchasing at all-time highs, and sometimes I'm catching it whenever it pulls back some. And the second thing that I wanted to show on this page is how I'm doing year to date. So we'll change this to the SPX because VOO tracks the S&P 500, and I want to make sure that it's giving an accurate description of how my portfolio is doing against the general S&P 500 index. So year to date, I'm up 19.83%. which in my opinion is great. I'm almost up 20% year to date as part of this challenge. And as you can see, the S&P index fund is up about 10.5%. So investing in VOO, which tracks the S&P 500, I'm actually beating the industry average. So a couple of quick points before going over some of the lessons learned over the course of the last 2 months. Since the beginning of the year, I've been able to realize close to a 20% return on my investment in VOO. So at the beginning of the year, I recommended starting with investing $5 a day into the market as part of this challenge. But over the course of time, you'll want to try to find ways to increase that amount if you can. So if you're able to increase that to $10 or to $15 or to $20, you will start to see some faster growth in your account. So over the course of this challenge, I considered investing an additional $5 a day into VOO, or investing that $5 into a different index where I was investing $10 a day into the market. But for right now, I think I'm just going to stick with the $5 a day because I do have a separate account that I invest in on a weekly basis. That's my main account. And this account was created specifically just to illustrate how much your account can change by investing as little as $5. And one of the things that you want to make sure that you don't do over the course of this challenge is withdraw any of the money from your account. Now, I know there may be times something may come up where you need the money, but try to find it anywhere else that you can as opposed to this investment account. You want to make sure that you keep the money in this account and allow your account to grow. All right, let's talk about some of the things that I've learned over the last 60 days. The first is that the market has continuously trended to the upside, and I'm not seeing or hearing anything that would indicate that we are ready for a pullback anytime soon. It's important to note that you cannot time the market, and a correction or a pullback in the market could happen at any time, which is why I take that $5 a day that I'm investing every day, and I'm not trying to time the market. I'm just purchasing that $5 worth of VOO around 10 or 11 o'clock every morning, regardless of price, because I'm not trying to predict price. The second thing that I learned is it almost has a set it and forget it type vibe. Now, of course, whenever you're putting money into the market, you always want to make sure you have an eye on how your portfolio is performing. But when you're investing in an index fund that doesn't have a lot of large moves to the upside or to the downside, you don't have to watch it as much. I am going in every day and making the purchase, but I'm not really taking a look at what my P&L looks like. Maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on what's going on. So it's kind of like a set it and forget it type vibe with investing in ETFs. But again, I do keep an eye on it. I'm not just blindly investing and not understanding how my portfolio is performing. The third thing that I learned is that over the last 60 days, I think I've just formed a habit of investing that $5 a day every morning. It's almost like it's second nature to me now. I wake up in the morning and I find myself going in and making that $5 purchase, and I'm not really even thinking about it. So I think I have a habit that's just formed, which I think is really good, especially if you are new to investing in the market. Once you build that habit and you build that cadence of when you're going to be investing in the market, of course, we're doing daily for this challenge, but as you get a little bit more seasoned, it might be monthly that you're doing this. It might be every 2 weeks, depending on what you decide to do. But once that habit is formed, it becomes second nature and you do it without even thinking about it. And the last thing that I learned is that since I built this habit of investing $5 a day into the market, at some point I will add an additional index fund that I'm going to be investing in. It's not going to be now, it'll be later in the year, or maybe even at the start of next year. I'll start another challenge while continuing to invest in VOO. I'll add an additional index fund. And it would be either one of the 3 index funds that I considered investing in, but I decided not to. I decided to go with VOO. But the other ones that I thought about investing in was Vanguard's VTI. And VTI covers all of the stocks in the US market in the fund. So there's hundreds and hundreds of stocks in that fund. The second fund that I consider was Vanguard's VGT, which is an aggressive growth information technology focused fund. And the third index fund that I considered investing in was SMH, which focuses on information technology, and more specifically into the computer chip industry. So there you have it. I've invested $5 a day over the last 60 days, and I've been able to realize close to a 20% return, which I think is pretty good. I think that's pretty good for right now. I'll be interested in hearing what you think about that. If you got some value from this video, consider subscribing, and while you're at it, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. And comment down below, what are your thoughts on this $5 a day investment challenge? Is this something that you would invest in? Is this something that you started with me at the beginning of the year? If so, leave that comment down below and let me know how you're doing. And if you like this type of content, make sure you check out the next video.